What's up, everybody? This is DJ Unprotected, and you are tuned into The Output. This is a podcast about fashion, pop culture, music, and some other goodies to enhance your day. Now, this is episode 32. Let me give you a little backstory on the number 32 and why it is one of my favorite numbers. Now, as you know, on the show, I've definitely talked about some other popular numbers that have suited me well in places like Vegas, the number 19, 29. But here we are sitting at 32. And yes, I know I'm wearing a jersey, Aaron Rodgers jersey, number 12, right? So where's 32 in the mix of this? But here it is, right? Here's why it's one of my favorite numbers. It's because it was the channel for my favorite TV station when I was a kid. And I want to give you the opportunity and see if you guys can guess this. Now, here is DJ Unprotected's favorite channel growing up. Without a doubt, this was it. I want you to think about it for a moment, like, what TV station was my favorite? You guys good? I'm giving you a chance here. I want you to sit there and try to think of it. There's a lot of options, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you right now, it was Nickelodeon. I was a Nickelodeon kid for sure. Didn't have Disney. Absolutely loved Nickelodeon. Huge fan of like Rugrats, SpongeBob, you know what I mean? And so, I just absolutely one of my dreams as a kid was to have one of those decked out IBM or Gateway computers that had like Nickelodeon stickers and stuff all over it. You know what I mean? Like the mouse was Nickelodeon, the keyboard had Nickelodeon on it. Like it was dope. That's how much. I got Nickelodeon magazine. I absolutely loved the whole thing about it. It was super cool. And then there was a time that my family went on a vacation to Florida, and we actually got to go hang out, in Orlando. So we went to Universal Studios and got to go to the old Nickelodeon studios there, which I don't think exists anymore. I think it's changed, but got to see it, all right? And that was awesome. I remember seeing that big green sign. I was like, dude, this is so cool. We were walking through, got to see Kenan and Kel. Dating myself here. Kenan and Kel rehearsing their show there, which was pretty awesome. Anyway, it was just a really good time. So that whole situation. But that's why 32 is one of my favorite numbers. And here we are getting to share this, and I'm letting you know about that experience, but we're going through this together. You think about it, 32 episodes, the time commitment. Just talking with the owner of the company for Aztec Nation this past week. And, you think about the amount of time, the preparation, the lessons learned, upgrading stuff. Getting hooked up with gifts, like updating this microphone. And, man, 32, that's like 32 hours of content, essentially. That's a long time. Now, in another 12 episodes or 20 episodes, we will have enough hours of content to cover the amount of time it takes your body to process food. Like if you guys remember when we had one of those intriguing questions. But anyway, so super excited. The series is going great. We're running through 2021. But, okay, we're going to do something unique this time. Actually, not unique. I just took something out of the show. But there's no drink sounds this week. And it's because I'm well hydrated. And, I've got tea. It's super hot, so I'm not going to be sitting here chugging it. There's not going to be a lot of breaks in between. I'm just basically doing it to wet the palate, but anyway, that's that. So no sounds while I'm drinking. Should be no opportunities for dead air on this show. And yeah, you're welcome. All right, so you don't get to hear any cool sound effects this time. Now, every week, I offer an intriguing question. And the point of this is to try to raise conversations with you, your friends, whatever, your spouse, your family. A lot of people aren't going out socializing, and this offers an opportunity for you to, take a question and, talk about something other than how was your day? How was your workout? What did you do? What did you eat? Mindless small talk. You know what I mean? Like, let's get in this, a different way of getting to know people and really open up that opportunity. That's why I do it, because, I'm not a huge fan of small talk. I get the whole, what do they call it at work? The water cooler discussions or coffee pot talks. I don't know. But anyway, this week's intriguing question is, how would you spend $1 million? Now, lots of people chasing money these days, get rich quick schemes all over the place, multi-level marketing. I mean, no matter what type of story you're watching or things you're watching on Facebook, somebody's trying to sell something, right? And it's cool. People get money hungry in these situations. Is it bad? No. Is it exciting? Heck yeah, because people want to imagine that type of significant change in their life, right? So I'm asking you, like, what would you do or how would you spend $1 million? Would you invest it? Would you blow it? Would you take your family and friends on a first-class vacation? I'm really interested. Would you pay off a bunch of debt, pay off family debt? Because I think there's different approaches to this. And I think I always like to know how other people respond to this. So that's this week's question. I will enlighten you with my thoughts on this. I think about this all the time. I spend a lot of time focusing on the abundance of receiving more money. And I can tell you, when you envision and choose the type of like changes you want in your life and change your attitude, like things start flipping. And, we've talked about definitely abundance and money on the show. And it's definitely had an impact on my life. So I definitely spend time and I'm excited to share this with you. But before we roll into this episode, guys, real quick, I want to say thank you to our returning listeners who have been coming back to this show. Really appreciate your loyalty, checking this episode out every Friday when it comes out. So if you got the opportunity, man, if you're enjoying the show, if you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not a subscriber, but you came across this because someone shared it, please hit that follow button or subscribe button, whatever platform you're listening on. And just another quick favor, if you got 3 seconds, if there's any way to rate this podcast like an Apple Podcast, you can select a certain number of stars. If you come across this on YouTube, smash that thumbs up button. We really love it. So I promise you we're on all platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google. There may be so many ways to listen to this show, but there's only one you, and I just want to say thank you for listening. So share it with your friends, your coworkers, whatever you want to do, but I appreciate it, all right? So this week is cool, okay? We've got some cool topics to cover, absolutely. So football, duh, I'm sitting here wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey. I'm going to get onto more of that in a second, right? We're going to talk about, this whole squeeze situation that happened with GameStop. You either came out on top or you got screwed. We'll talk about that, and got some movie discussion because, which also relates to the whole fact of the AMC big push, the AMC stock, which I've always liked AMC theaters. Not trying to steal thunder for later in the show. And then we're going to wrap this up with music, and I'm going to share some of the songs that are kind of hot on my playlist right now that tend to get that repeat. All right? So that's what we're going to roll with on the show. Like I said, football. Okay, this is Super Bowl weekend. And also, we've got The Weeknd, the artist, performing at halftime. Now, I think that this performance is going to be legit. I am a big fan of The Weeknd. I think he's super talented. I remember seeing him perform at the Grammys. Now, I didn't see him, but I watched it on TV perform at the Grammys, and this is someone who's very naturally talented, and he's a great performer. So I think this is going to be awesome, especially with some of the music he's dropped lately. You've got this like 80s synth style music. It's really cool, the stuff that him and Dua Lipa have been putting out lately, but the performance is going to be dope. And if I had a DVR, honestly, I would record it. Now, is that even a thing? Do DVRs even exist anymore? Like, do we even record shows? Do people record them? Or is that not even like necessary because of streaming options? See, here I am coming way out of left field with this, because I cut the cord a while ago when it came to, cable and all that jazz. So, I guess, like, what's wrong with me? I should get with the times. Like, it's 2021. Like, I don't know. Is streaming in or out as far as, like, DVRing, recording that stuff? I bet you could probably just restream it or look up the performance on YouTube. That would probably be better. But it's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be weird checking out this performance, and I'm sure it's weird for artists. Like, there can't be a big crowd. There won't be people on the field. I mean, I don't think there would be, given the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. even if people are there to enjoy the show and stuff, like, does it make sense to have hundreds or thousands of people hanging out like by a stage, crammed up? It's hard to separate that, even if you're wearing masks and all that jazz. So could be different. It's probably just going to be him performing. Obviously, they're going to have a few thousand people in the crowd. Like, we know stadiums have been getting away with that, you know what I mean? Having like maybe 10, 20,000 people in the stands, but they're spaced out and whatnot. So it'll be interesting. We'll see, right? We all know Super Bowl. Oh, man. Who are we rooting for? You've got Tom Brady, arguably the GOAT. I mean, with so many wins, and now this is his 10th time going to the Super Bowl, 11th. Are we rooting for Mahomes? He's a really young quarterback, super talented. Like, he's a positive guy, pulls his team together. He's a leader, really like his coach, and so that's always good. But on the flip side, like, what's really going on, I'm not a huge fan of teams returning to the Super Bowl because I think that anytime a team keeps winning, it can be bad for morale for, like, an organization and fans. Like, oh, why do they keep going? Why do they keep winning? You know what I'm saying? Like, it creates conflict. Like, but when you have different teams going to the Super Bowl, then, like, it's more exciting, And unless it was my team going every year, then maybe the tables would be different. But even down to the core, I think that I would still feel the same way. I'd be like, okay, so we got in again. I don't know. I guess if it's your team, then you have that loyalty to be like, hell yeah, like, we're the best. We deserve to be there. But when it's someone else, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see returning teams to the Super Bowl. So when we think about this situation, you had Tom Brady was released from his team, or the contract was over and they were like, okay, yeah, you've done enough. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes to Tampa, and now this team is in the Super Bowl. And honestly, when situations like this happen, when someone who's going to create so much buzz for an organization and this stuff happened, like, COVID was, popping through, all that jazz for spring training and blah, blah, blah. Like, it can come off as like kind of, pre-planned corruption, staged, however you want to put it. I mean, it's just like the WWE, right? It can come off as that, like it's staged, because WWE, you take your performers who are going to kind of really pull in the spotlight, gain a lot of fans, get a lot of people to turn on the TV, a lot of people to buy the tickets. They're the ones who are going to get, the main events cards, the guys who are going to stand in front of camera talking shit, the ones who are going to create buzz, man. That's what's going to go down. So I think it's the same thing that happened now, and this move occurred, and I think maybe it was planned out. I don't know. It seems like it could have been, because they knew that it was going to be tough with the organization to have sports when we saw the impact that the coronavirus was having on our country. We couldn't get our shit together, basically, because how you react to it. We got a lot of freedoms, and we've got a lot of personalities in this country. So I don't know. I mean, so here we are with Brady back, for his back for the Super Bowl. I mean, if they end up winning, fine. I know quite a few people who are putting money on Kansas City. Now, I do want to say this. If any of you guys have open, blocks or squares, open squares, for a Super Bowl, hit me up on Twitter at DJ Unprotected. I want to purchase a square. I don't care if it's $100, $25, whatever. Let me get in on this. So hit me up. Let me know if you got open squares. It may be tough. We've got like 3 days until the game. So we'll see, but I'm interested in that. Now, let's backtrack here. Why aren't the Packers in the Super Bowl? And this is probably something I could have talked about last week, but man, like, we could have had the shot. Like, I don't know what that team was thinking, and no, this is not old news, because I'm still sleeping on it, wondering, WTF, like, why did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were fourth down near, in the red zone, and the Packers decided to kick the ball to get 3 points. Now, you were down by 8. You want to try to get that touchdown, and even if Adams had dropped, 3 consecutive passes in the red zone, who cares? Like, you got to get that ball moving across that line other than a kick. get the most points possible. There was 2 minutes and 13 or 2 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock, and you're going to give that back to Brady, the guy who can pull passes right and left and hit who he needs to hit. Man, that was so upsetting to watch that. The anxiety that happened, and it was self-inflicted, and the coaches know that. You know what I'm saying? And I really like, LaFleur. He's a good dude, young coach. He's got a great future. You can tell, he makes decisions. He's got passion on the field. That was just a bad call. Rodgers sat there in his interview and said, that wasn't my call. But there comes that point. It's a philosophy and attitude, okay, that I think comes from, there's a motivational speaker. He goes by Eric Thomas. He's a hip-hop motivator. Dude is really will get you thinking, get you hyped up, because he loved, I think it was the Australian rugby team, right, that has so much energy, and they have this attitude of winners win. Losing isn't the option. It can happen. It's going to happen. But you play to win. You take the risks. You go all out. The Packers needed that mentality. Winners win. So what if Adams dropped 3 consecutive balls beforehand? You don't sit there and say, well, okay, we're just going to kick it. No, winners win. We are going to make this pass happen. You find a way, create that route. Winners win. You go in and get the most points, not the least amount of points. And that's why they lost. I think it comes down to that certain mentality. They were short, and then the defense goes back out there. Defense was, kind of doing their thing. First quarter, they screwed up, of course. But, you know what I mean? Why would you go back in there and be like, man, my team didn't even go for 6 points. Here we are. We're down by 5. We got to fight this clock, because you had the 2-minute warning and then 3 timeouts, which essentially would lead to 4 timeouts. But the QB you're going up against is Tom Brady. You do not want to give that man 2 minutes. Just like no team wants to give Aaron Rodgers 90 seconds on the clock, because he will chew it up. He's going to get those plays in. He's probably going to score in that time frame. So, man, it was a major mistake. When you're in a position and it's do or die, you go all in, because at least if you go for that pass on 4th down and whatever, you know what I'm saying? You could say we went for it. And if the team came back and, your opponent ran out the clock and took advantage of whatever they had and they got their first downs, then you can say you gave it a shot, not took a kick and said, well, we're going to hope that our defense does their thing and then we can get the ball back and hustle. There's too many variables in between that. Winners win. You got to have that mentality. Dude, it was total, kick to the nuts, man. It hurt. It's upsetting. It's okay if a team beats you because you tried really hard and you just got outplayed. That's fine. The Packers lost that game because whatever happened in that second quarter. Oh my goodness, with the 8 seconds left and they just leave there's no safety back there and they just leave the field open for, Brady to launch. Anyway, that game was just frustrating, but it is a super weekend, and people are rocking their jerseys. So, yes, I am rocking the Aaron Rodgers jersey. Go, Pack, go. It hurts. It stings. It stings as a fan because you're so close now. So many things change in football. You know what I mean? Players change. Contracts change. You know what I mean? New developments happen. People are hurt in the offseason. You just don't know. Teams come back and can be different. Now, I know that Packers have been in development for a couple of years now, especially since getting rid of, Coach McCarthy, which needed to happen, and Cowboys also experienced that, you know what I mean? And, well, I guess we could just hope for next season and we'll keep a positive attitude, but that's the learning lesson out of this. If you got the opportunity, you go all in, and if you go all in and don't win, then you can say at least you gave it your all, not kick 3 points instead of trying to get 6 and then 8. It could have been a totally different game. They could have had that opportunity to get the 6 points, 2-point conversion. Now the game's tied. Now you make Brady earn their way down the field to get the field goal, and now you gave that defense a whole lot of fuel to say we are going to stop these cats from getting down there to the field goal line. And then if we get 20 seconds, then Rodgers is going to fight his way back down. It didn't play out that way. And it's always It's always upsetting when that happens, but it happened, and anyway, it is what it is. Now let's roll through games, going all in. And this is funny. We're going to talk about the GameStop squeeze or the fail. Now I do want to say this. I'm not a financial advisor, so nothing that I'm saying here is obviously it is not. I'm not giving anybody advice. I'm just offering kind of my thoughts and opinions on it, and that's that. So if you did what you felt like you had to do and you bought this stuff, cool. I'm just going to talk about it because I think the whole situation is entertaining. All right, so this GameStop squeeze, this stock goes through the roof last week. You know what I mean? Or 2 weeks ago, last week, people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon. And now what's that stock at today? Like $50. So it peaked at like 480 something. Okay, because the drive from the Reddit Wall Street Bets, which I think is cool. Like, I think it's cool that it happened. And, people got together and decided to give these hedge funds the big middle finger. Like, screw you guys. The little man is going to make money this time. But people didn't hold out long enough, and now that stock is at $50. So I know some people who bought in when it was over 300. And you think about what happens with that is, anytime a trend, in my opinion, anytime a trend hits the news and you decide to get behind that trend, I think you're too late. It's absolutely how that works. The same thing happened. There was a cryptocurrency, I think it's Dogecoin, Dogecoin. And I know this because I learned this lesson. I saw a bunch of TikTok videos about it. I saw somebody post on Facebook about it. And I saw an article about the hype behind it. And I said, let me purchase a bunch of that. So I did. It was like 0.004 of a cent. Okay. It was like, ridiculous. Like you could buy so much for 10 or I think for $20, I bought like, 15 or 1600 or whatever it would have been. You know what I'm saying? At that price point. But I did it. And you know what happened after that? Because I'd seen the nude article and all that other stuff piling up, is that shit dropped back down to like almost half its value. So it doubled and then dropped back down to almost half its value. Now, things aren't so bad now because the thing is worth like 5 cents. So, that $10 or $20 have raised, like if I sold this cryptocurrency, I could just easily have several $100s, like 300 or 400, I think is what it's developed. So at this point for the amount I had, but you know what? That's where that experience comes from. And I think there's a lesson anytime you're investing is like Warren Buffett said, and I read it in a book called The Intelligent Investor, as he was like, he had, kind of was behind the book. But he said, rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. So if you do lose money, it's like, don't do that shit again. What about your decisions? Now, anytime you try to make investments, like, it could be anything. Real estate, there's probably learning lessons. Stock market, absolutely learning lessons. There's risks to it. But the same thing with trying to invest in, cryptocurrency and all that jazz. But this whole situation is just funny because a lot of people tried to jump on it too late, start signing up for accounts, and then they're buying, a stock that's like the next blockbuster, GameStop. I think it is going to be the next blockbuster because game consoles are coming out with systems that let you pay less to get, something that doesn't have a CD, DVD drive. It just doesn't. And I think it's great because you think environmentally, you know what I mean? Like all those plastic discs, they got to go somewhere. And I'll be honest with you, what takes up most of the space on my, was it TV stand, right? Is all the cases and discs for my old Xbox 360 and my PlayStation 4. What does that stuff go? When you move on to a different system. In my closet, I've got a shoebox that has PlayStation 2 games in it and, other Xbox games. So, yeah, I'm all about, going digital. So a lot of systems now, like you can buy games online. Like you don't need to go to GameStop to get 5% off or whatever it may be or pre-order. You can do it all online. So GameStop is like, I think is becoming the next blockbuster. So here you had a stock that was around single digits and it got hyped up to like 300 or 400 and people jumped on that bandwagon too late. And I think they took a hit for it, man. You got stung because now that baby's at $50. And I don't think it's going back up. I think like that's it. You know what I mean? That was the hype for that one. And so it's just crazy now that you've got the AMC situation. I bought some of that because I think, and it's the movie company, not the TV channel. All right. But the movie company, is it the same thing? Is AMC American Movie Channel, American Movie Corporation? Okay, so the AMC TV channel that has Walking Dead and stuff, I believe, is separate. See, this is why I don't offer advice on investing because they're probably two separate things. I'm sure AMC, the TV channel, is owned by like Clearwater or something else, or you know what I'm saying. But the AMC, the movie theaters, I did buy some stock in that. I think that as the pandemic recovers in a year or two, and whatever we can like really tame down these numbers by people getting vaccinated and whatever it may be, I think that'd be good because people are going to miss going out to the movies. They already do. It is a fun experience. I make popcorn. I love popcorn, but my popcorn is not the same as a movie theater popcorn. One, their shit is a whole lot less burnt than mine. I can't get it right. I don't hit the popcorn button on the microwave, but it comes out smoking, even if I sit there and monitor. And it's one of those situations where if you ever done a hearing test where you're like, oh, I think I heard a beep. Yeah, that was a beep. And you like start raising your hand and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Where like the beeps start coming through. I think that same thing happens with popcorn. You're sitting there and you're like, all right, I'm supposed to wait like 1 or 2 seconds in between pops. And you're like, oh, that was a pop. All right, so 1/1000. Oh, that was a pop. You know what I'm saying? You start second guessing yourself. So long story short, I'm just looking forward to getting back into a movie theater to enjoy some good popcorn. Now, maybe my popcorn's a little more healthy, but if I'm going to a movie theater and I'm grabbing some Raisinets and I'm going to toss that joint in my popcorn or some M&Ms in that popcorn, am I really looking for it to be like fat-free or kettle corn or whatever it may be? No, I'm going in for pure flavor. So I know I can speak to missing that. And you know what I mean? So I think it could recover. So I bought some of that, not like it wasn't a huge investment on my part. I like to put my money elsewhere so that you can actually get a return, but I don't know if it's going to get hyped up like it was, like GameStop was. I just bought it because, it could be fun, but like I said, it didn't break the bank. So this stuff's, whatever, entertaining. I guess since we're on this, like, let's just talk about some movies then, because they're already making a movie about this whole, short squeeze that they did with GameStop. So two companies or two production companies are working on a couple movies, which I'm sure will be out within a year for people to stream about this situation that happened. I bet it'll be pretty fun, kind of like marrying, The Wolf of Wall Street and like something else, who knows, but could be good. But anyway, movies. So what's on tap right now? Like what can we look forward to coming out? I noticed that Coming to America, so the first movie Coming to T.O. America, right? That's how that title was spelled. This one is Coming to the number 2, meaning it's a sequel. So there's already a trailer out. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you're going to have Arsenio Hall. You'll have, obviously Eddie Murphy. But I'm interested, like, how this movie's going to be, because I think there's different ways to look at if this is going to be a bust or not. Now, it's hyped, but we've definitely seen many learning lessons with sequels. Very few have done well. Jurassic Park sequel sucked. Number 2 was trash. Other movies with the sequel, it wasn't very good. Like, it just doesn't happen. So historically, sequels just don't perform well. But at least this one's not a remake. And the other thing that could potentially work in its favor is that there's been enough of a time gap between the first one and this one. I mean, it's a long time. And some of the actors you haven't seen in movies in a while. Like, pretty sure Eddie Murphy hasn't starred in a movie in a while. And then same thing with Arsenio Hall. So it could be cool to bring that back. I do believe that, his dad is in a movie. Earl John, Ah, man. Yeah. Earl Jones, right? Earl Jones Jr. Is that him? Look, it's late, okay, and I didn't write that in my podcast notes, but you know who I'm talking about, okay? I don't think it's Earl Jones Jr. I think I'm sounding silly. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm calling that out, but I'm going to probably see that movie. I may even, where you can pay, it's ridiculous price points, but it's like $20 to stream that stuff when the movies first come out. I may check it out. I think it's going to be funny. I think it's going to be good. The first one was love story related, so interested to see how this one plays out. We'll see. I don't know. But what about that new movie with Denzel Washington? It's called The Little Things. All right. I love, like, Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors. He's up there. He's great in every movie. Obviously, like, Training Day is one of my favorite movies just because of how, obviously him and Ethan Hawke did well, like, playing off of each other's character. But that, like, he just played that well, man. That was awesome. And there's so many other ones that he did good in, that he did well in, that you're like, yo, this dude stars in a film. It's going to be dope. Now, I've seen mixed reviews, so that's why I'm kind of like on the fence, because I think some of those mixed reviews come from Jared Leto, where people are like, no, stay away from this. But I always thought like Jared Leto was a good actor too. You know what I mean? And maybe like the only movie that he did that was great was Requiem for a Dream, which is a really jacked up movie, as you probably know if you've seen it. But that was like a really well done. Like he did awesome in that one, and some say that was like probably his best performance. And a lot of people weren't a fan of how he did playing the Joker. So, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I don't want to pay. I don't know. I don't want to pay $20 for this one. This one I may wait until it comes out onto like Netflix or something, or Amazon Prime, or where I can rent it for like $1 or $2 instead of paying $20. I don't know. That's like my thoughts on it. That's where I'm at. Because like the whole movie experience, definitely it's different, and they are filming movies for sure. Like, was it Tyler Perry Studios in Georgia? Like, if you're on a crew and you're filming at those studios, you gotta quarantine for like 2 weeks. You basically take a test like every few days, and the whole crew, like, unless you're in front of the camera, you're like in mass. So I know a lot of things are really, they're definitely cautious now filming. So when the actors are together on the screen, like they've been tested for, they've had negative tests, blah, 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 and they definitely quarantine beforehand. So that trailer life is a whole lot different now. But I know that Tyler Perry Studios, now I don't know what films have been done there or shows, but dude, I saw the tour of his studios and it's pretty badass. Like, some pretty cool suites and stages and all that jazz. So, we'll see, but they're still putting out movies. It'd be cool to get, I really want like the next Alien film to come out. If we're going to talk about movies, let me tell you some of my wants from 2021, 2022. It would be really cool if we can get another Alien series. So you had like Prometheus, then Covenant, and we need the one that's going to be after Covenant, because this one kind of, puts the two together, puts this and Prometheus together to where, Aliens, like Alien, the first movie, really kind of like when they intercepted that signal and whatnot. So they're coming close to tying these things together, which will be awesome. And, if you notice, like when you have Prometheus and then Covenant, like, the goriness, bringing back that creepy alien character, more of that, like getting killed and all that jazz, other than people and robots killing each other. This is bringing back that excitement. I love it, man. Like, I think in the past few weeks, I watched, Prometheus and Covenant, like while I was like cooking or whatever was in the background. But man, those are just like, to me, entertaining movies. So I'd love to see that. I know it's been in the works for a few years now in discussion. I think they're rewriting the script, was the last news I had seen on it. But wouldn't that be cool? Like, to get another Alien franchise flick out there? I think it'd be dope. And I don't care if people didn't like the other ones. It's Alien. Dude, we need some cool space movies out. And with everyone wearing suits, like now is the perfect time. They're wearing suits. So like, they're not, You know what I mean? They got a mask on. So now they need to come out with a lot of space movies because the whole crew would be protected. And that's advice from Unprotected. All right, guys. So what we're going to do, we're going to wrap this thing up with some music. All right. What's hot in my playlist right now? Lately, I've been listening to a lot of techno. Or, one of my favorite playlists that I've come across on Apple Music, if you guys follow the playlist or you pay for the monthly Apple Music, is Dance XL. The curator making that joint is on point. Seriously. I know I just rhymed there. It's pretty good. Joint on point. But that station has awesome new dance music that's coming out. I would say most of the tracks on there are hot. Some I skipped through, but a lot of them are really good. So one right now, it's Keto, Zoo, Jeremiah. Track's called Follow. The Dylan Francis remix is good. The original is dope. I love the melody. I'm over there singing to it. Like, that track is dope. That comes up on a playlist. I'm hitting it back. Like, it's just a cool track to listen to. You know what I mean? Like, in the morning. So that's in the playlist. And another one is Paradise by Medusa featuring Dermot Kennedy. So just do, Paradise by Medusa. That's another one that I recently added to my library. But guys, if you want to hear some more of my favorite tracks in a live DJ mix and really know what I'm vibing with, tune in on Twitch. You can check me out this Saturday at 8 p.m. Central. So if you just do twitch.tv/DJ Unprotected, you can see my channel, 8 p.m. Central on Saturday, going hard. I throw a lot of my favorite tunes, remixes, house music. You can expect a lot of house, and then towards the end of the set, sometimes I roll into some like even classic techno tracks from like, the late 90s, early 2000s, and even current techno now. So it's just a good time. I play for a few hours, and, I always see like posts on Facebook, people looking for, hey, looking for new music for running playlists. Man, tune into this stuff. I guarantee I'll get you some to give you energy. I've heard that a few people had some kitchen dance parties, with their family. So you just never know. Again, that's twitch.tv/DJ Unprotected. Shameless plug, but that's cool because we're sharing the love of music. Saturdays, 8 p.m. Central. All right, guys. So listen, it is now time for this week's intriguing question where you can get my insight on this. Now, how would you spend $1 million? Hope by this point you had some time to think about this. And it's an interesting topic in my point because you're either going to blow the money or maybe you can do something smart with it. For me, I would consider that like an investment gain. So if I got that money right now, maybe it was from winning the lottery, but maybe it was from buying some cryptocurrency that went off the charts 3 years from now, and all of a sudden I got $1 million worth of crypto. My plan, what I would probably do is this thing called like a half split. I'll just basically split it, but half split sounds cool. I would keep half, I would sell the other half, and what I would do is then I would take a portion of that. Obviously if I had like family or whatever, needed to pay off some debt, whatever it may be, buy something nice, but then I'll take another portion of that money and reinvest it. And then probably a 100,000, 200,000, I'd probably keep a couple 100,000 in a high interest account. So that way that it makes, a high yield account. So it makes some interest on it. So the money consistently is like making more money. And I like that because there's that attitude, like the rich get richer, right? A friend of mine told me, that, when he deals with clients or whatever it may be, that, they may be in debt. Like they may not own their yacht. They may not own their cars. But, for the low interest rates, whatever it may be, they use their money that they have in their accounts to go invest it into things to bring back more money. So they use debt for their advantage. Like, cool, I want these nice things. So what? I can have like debt that's maybe like 3 or 4% interest rate, on a yacht or a house or a car. Why pay that off when you can use the funds that you have that can bring back maybe, say, 20, 25% return or 18% return? You take a few 100,000 and start talking about bringing back 18% return on that a year, like your money's doing pretty good. And then you just keep rolling that forward. You know what I mean? You make more out of the money you're receiving. So that's how I would do it. I wouldn't get maybe I'd pay off my Jeep. That's how I'd spend $1 million, maybe get a lift kit, but I wouldn't like go nuts and, you know what I'm saying, buy some like gold chains or whatever. I wouldn't go crazy. I'd probably buy some new sunglasses, some Ray-Bans, because the sunglasses I've got now, the damn earpiece fell off. So I'd be driving around with just one of the earpieces. The other one, what they call it, stems. So one of the stems fell off. I think they're called stems. Glasses stems? Dude, I don't know. If you're looking on YouTube, I'm showing you right now. The left one fell off, so I drive my car, my Jeep, and it's like half on my face or whatever, but sun's bright, I got to do it. So I would probably buy a new pair of sunglasses, but that's what I would do, because if the rich get richer and I get $1 million, whether it's through investments, the lottery, I'd help some people out, and I would find ways to make my money, make more money. That's what I would do, because I'm still young. I'm 30. I just turned 35 this week, by the way. Oh my goodness, I should have said this in the beginning of the episode, but happy late birthday to me, DJ Unprotected. Turned 35, and yeah, so I mean, dude, $1 million, if I had that 5 years from now, good times. That's all I'm saying. The good times are coming. But I want to know how you guys would spend $1 million, so hit me up on Twitter. Would love to hear what you got to say at DJ Unprotected. Let me know, and if you give me a good response, I will feature you on next week's episode and let the world know how you'd spend $1 million, all right? Okay, guys, thank you again for tuning into The Output with me, DJ Unprotected. This podcast is presented by Aztec Nation, so I hope you're picking up what we're putting out. We got a lot to say, so tune in on your favorite streaming platform next week for a brand new episode on Friday. That's right, guys. Have a great weekend. It's the Super Weekend. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy rooting for your teams. Don't make dumb bets. If you got open squares, let me know. I want to buy one. Anyway, be safe, have fun, and live your best life, guys. We out.